Welcome to another wonderful behind the scenes video. This one is for Super Teaser, which you can watch by clicking on here if you haven't seen it. So this is one of the cameras that we shoot a lot on, the 5D Mark II. It's a pretty great little camera, has a great cinematic look, and it's pretty high quality, especially for the price. What we can do now with it is shoot with it in RAW thanks to a magic lantern hack. And so I wanted to do this Superman jump thing. It started off as a concept of me jumping off the roof. And it's filmed in such a way that it starts off with me being like, hey, I'm gonna jump. And then I would jump, crash into the ground, and take off. And it was intended to all be one shot. When I got down to the edit and music, it really just wasn't working. So I decided to use my editorial power and cut out parts of it that got rid of the original story and made it just a simpler trailer or teaser. So this thing was actually shot in two pieces. One was in green screen. Then we took those shots and combined it with one shot that I did outside, where I basically just took the camera and I went through the whole scene, pretending somebody was there. So I went up into the sky, saw the person on the roof, and then fell down with them and saw them crash. And then when they took off, followed with the camera. When you're shooting plates like that, or anything you need to motion track, keep in mind that if you don't have a high frame rate or a high shutter speed, then you could run into the problem that I ran into, where it was so blurry that for part of my moves, the camera tracker in After Effects and Buju just couldn't keep up with it because there was no data that could be resembled as tracking data in those moves. Had I had a faster shutter, then it would have been able to capture clips, those intermediary shots a lot better and not have all that motion blur. For the jump, we awkwardly shot me in a downward position, doing what I thought I would do if I was jumping off a roof. And then for the crash, we had a little setup here where I climbed up on a table and jumped over to the side. It was really awkward. Down to the ground into my 3-point stance. And there's actually a lot more in the scene where I'm celebrating, like, yeah, this is awesome, cool, watch this, and then take off. But again, because the pacing was off, it wasn't going with the music that I chose, we cut it out. And that's why you see when I'm on the ground, you see a little twitch. After I had the crash, I wanted to create a jet stream, and so I did that in particular. And there's a couple ways to do it. In this case, I used sprites and found a cloud and cut that out, and then used the cloud as a sprite for my particles, and then put my particles in the 3D space that I created in After Effects and animated them so that they shot up and then across the sky and eventually got smaller and blurrier and farther away. So the other thing you'll notice is the sweet 3D Super Ryan graphic that I created. And this also came about as I was putting the video together, and I wasn't really liking the comedy of it, and I wanted a crest. So then I jumped into Cinema 4D, and it was actually fairly easy to get this done. I created the crest in Illustrator by creating the outlines for the main shape, the crest and the R, and then I also created other little NURBs or other little cutouts that would be extruded. Separately saved those. Brought all those into Cinema 4D, and then you just grab your materials, and in this case I used some brushed metal, a couple different versions, and colored it, tinted it kind of red, and then put those on the objects. And the last thing you may notice is that the music is a little more tailored for this piece. And that was because we used Video Copilot's Pro Scores, which is a fun way to do your own composition without being a composer or having the budget to hire one. Because what it gives you is it gives you different pieces of a song, drums, orchestra, choir, and different hits and segments that you can use to build your own composition in your piece so that it's something custom tailored to your piece instead of just some random download, which I was trying to use before. So that's just a little glance behind the curtain of how we did these effects. Tune in next week when John shoots lasers out of his eyes.